Peter. And coming up tonight, the battle to keep Cameroon's capital city clean is intensifying, with top government officials now taking decisive action to transform Yaounde's street after the donation of Minister Paul Atanganji to all councils in Yaounde last week. The Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Celestine Keta-Cortez, has made a significant contribution in the fight to keep Yaounde clean. And also in this edition, addiction is taking hold of Cameroon's next generation as a new hard drug known as Caillou sweeps through schools and neighborhoods, alarming families and health professionals. Urgent and very urgent actions are needed to save the leaders of tomorrow. These are the stories that will lead us on the 6:30 p.m. newscast. We develop these and more just in a moment. It's a pleasure having you on the 6:30 p.m. news. My name is Fabrice Ketinga. We are live from Yaounde, and we begin the news in Yaounde, where the battle to keep Cameroon's capital city clean is intensive, with more and more government officials joining the battle. After the donation of Minister Paul Atanganji last week to all 7 councils in Yaounde, the Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Celestine Keta-Cortez, has joined the wagon with 2 significant donations to councils in Yaounde. What are these donations about is the question Micheline Bilowa answers in the upcoming report.
As part of efforts to curb insalubrity in the city, the Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Celestine Keta-Cortez, has handed over 2 mechanical sweepers to the councils of Yaounde First and Yaounde Fifth municipalities. The equipment is intended to boost the council's capacity to effectively clean and maintain major streets and public spaces. The mechanical sweepers are expected to significantly reduce waste accumulation, improve hygiene, and enhance the overall image of the capital city. Local authorities say the machines will complement ongoing sanitation efforts and help ensure a cleaner urban environment. Speaking during the handover ceremony, the Minju called on beneficiary councils to use the equipment responsibly for the well-being of the population.
Since my arrival at the head of this ministry, hygiene and sanitation issue has been a permanent priority of the sectoral action that I have been carrying out in this area, in accordance with the high vision of the head of state for a clean and healthy living environment.
The mayor of Yaounde Fifth municipality welcomed the initiative, describing it as timely and impactful.
Mechanical sweepers will help us to ameliorate the cleanliness of our city. We know that until here there were groups of youth who were cleaning our city everywhere in the mornings, in the evenings. So now that we have a mechanical sweeper, we think that those young people will be affected to other missions within the municipality, because this mechanic sweeper will clean all the streets every day, in evenings, in afternoons. And we think that is a very good thing for our municipality. We will reinforce our cleanliness, we will reinforce the fight against insalubrity, and Yaounde Fifth will be more clean in the days and weeks ahead.
The donation forms part of government efforts to promote sustainable urban development and improve living standards across Cameroon's cities.
Still in Yaounde, the UNESCO office in Yaounde is hosting a very important 3-day strategic retreat, bringing together media professionals under the Elections Newsroom platform. The meeting is taking place within the framework of the United Nations Technical Assistance Project supporting Cameroon's 2025 to 2027 electoral cycle. Its main goal is to strengthen national collaboration among journalists and media organizations to ensure integrity, accuracy, and professionalism of electoral information. Participants are reviewing progress made so far, restructuring internal governance of the media synergy, and reinforcing cooperation and journalistic ethics, particularly in the fight against disinformation during election period. Now, as we told you in our top stories, families across Cameroon are watching as their children slip into addiction as, of course, following the sharply rise of addiction among teenagers foiled by the spread of a dangerous street drug called Caillou. Experts say this is leaving devastating consequences. The following report says that the youths of today need urgent attention. Drug abuse is rising at an alarming rate among young people in Cameroon, affecting both boys and girls and destroying lives at an early age. Health workers and community leaders say addiction is tightening its grip on the youth, with many families watching helplessly as teenagers fall into substance dependence. A particularly disturbing trend is the emergence of a new and dangerous street drug locally known as Caillou. The substance, surrounded by shocking claims about its composition, is rapidly gaining notoriety in urban neighborhoods. Users who become dependent on the drug often deteriorate quickly, both physically and mentally, and are commonly referred to on the street as junkies due to the severe nature of their addiction.
Bones are being exhumed and this stuff called Caillou is being produced. And it is now from there, it is disseminated, it is distributed. And people are smoking and inhaling. What do you expect? They are going to not only run into health hazards, they are also going to run into psychological problems. Many of them go nuts. Many go nuts. Many die instantly. Many go nuts. They get mad. They get unstable. They get bizarre.
After extensive observation and clinical encounters with affected youths, some medical professionals warn that Caillou may be among the most harmful hard drugs currently circulating in these communities. They report cases of rapid health decline, severe psychological effects, and increased risk-taking behavior among users. Beyond the health crisis, there are also growing public concerns about enforcement. Some local residents allege that certain law enforcement officers turned a blind eye to drug activity in non-smoking spots, with accusations that bribes or informal payments sometimes allow the trade to continue unchecked.
It has become so normal to see addicts all over our streets, youths at that. These drugs are badly taking away our youths. I mean like badly. They are destroying them. If you see into it, crime wave is increasing on a daily. It is skyrocketing. These hard drugs are very expensive. That is one thing. And these consumers really don't have jobs. The only thing they need to do is either pickpocketing or they go around harassing people. They steal. That is by every means. They need to have money to get their drug.
These claims remain allegations, but they reflect deep frustration within communities who feel the fight against drugs is not being taken seriously enough. Experts say tackling this growing crisis will require more than just arrest. They are calling for stronger prevention programs in schools, rehabilitation support for addicts, tighter control of drug supply networks, and greater accountability in enforcement.
Yet the problem is not those addicts. The problem is drug dealers, suppliers. The people supplying the drugs into our society, they are the main problem here, because you take a man who is already an addict, you keep him in cell maybe for 2-3 days, you take 25,000 from him, you release him back into this, you have solved nothing.
Without urgent and coordinated action, many fear Cameroon risks losing a generation of young people to addiction. And in a related development, the rate of indecency among youths, especially students in Cameroon, has reached an unprecedented level. Now, what accounts for this indecency and juvenile delinquency in today's society? We spoke to a guidance counselor and a pastor, and we have their reactions in the following excerpt.
They are caused by, broken families, failure in parental upbringing, lack of proper moral instruction, both in the home and in school institutions. So I think that looking at the happenings today in Cameroon, the growing indecency among youths in our schools and in our neighborhoods is a clear indication that there is a failure from the family altar, from the family level to the educational system and even to the society at large. So we have a responsibility as a church to teach people how to raise children. It is a serious need in the church discipleship curriculum nowadays. If we will correct this mistake and what we are already seeing, we have to go and correct it from the root causes. If we discipline and punish these children without introducing them to Christ, without making them discover their identity, without healing their broken hearts, without healing their hidden wounds, then punishment alone will not suffice to stop juvenile indecency and delinquency in our schools and in the society.
I can say this issue of decay does not begin only from the school milieu. Parents seem to have pushed all the work to the school, especially on to the guardians and counselors, because when these kind of children are discovered in school, the work it is the responsibility of the guardians counselors. So now, what we need to know as parents and as educators, we should try to study our children from home, see what they can do, that is their attitude, what they are actually doing, their characters. Parents should know their children. Parents should not abandon the work of parentalhood in the hands of guardians and counselors or in the hands of teachers. Because we have come to realize that most of these issues do not start, they don't begin in school. For example, a child leaves from home and gets to school with cocaine in the bag, or what they call marijuana, and teachers get to discover it on their own. At times, you invite parents to school, convocate them to school to talk to them about these children. You realize that they themselves don't even know.
On to something else, the Interim Minister of Employment and Vocational Training, Monona Fortso, has granted audience to a delegation from the Agence Université de la Francophonie, the French Embassy, and experts from the Limoges, France. The visit comes ahead of a training program on learning by apprenticeship currently taking place in Yaoundé from January 26 to 30. About 50 educational coordinators and apprenticeship supervisors are taking part in the French government-sponsored training. According to Francois Pititori, representative of the French Embassy in Cameroon, the objective is to make participants reliable resource persons for vocational training centers. Let's now take you to Kumba in Memed Division in the southwest region of Cameroon, where a fire outbreak has destroyed several homes early this morning in the Kosala neighborhood, causing significant material damage and leaving affected families in distress. The blaze reportedly started in the early hours, catching residents off guard as flames quickly spread through the neighborhood. Preliminary reports suggest the fire may have been triggered by a high voltage electrical problem, though authorities are yet to release an official statement. No casualties have been confirmed so far, while residents are calling for improved electrical safety measures to prevent similar incidents. From Kumba in the southwest region, let's now take you to Bamenda in the northwest region, where the bodies of two young men have been discovered with gunshot wounds. The discovery was made in the early hours of Sunday, January 2016, Bamenda, northwest region. Their bodies were found in a roadside gutter along New Road in the Nkwen neighborhood, Bamenda 3 subdivision. Preliminary reports suggest the victims were shot shortly after midnight, though their identities at press time have not yet been confirmed. Residents say they heard gunshots around midnight in areas including Tatmuche, Mai 3 Nkwen and Mai 4. Shortly before the bodies were discovered, authorities have not yet released any official statement. But this is one of the casualties of the ongoing armed conflict that has been rocking the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon since 2018. If you are just tuning on, you're on to the latest edition of the news in the English language on B News 1. We are broadcasting from Yaoundé, Cameroon's political capital. On to something else. The president of the Northwest Regional Assembly, Professor Fru Angwafo III, has clarified the do's and the don'ts of the Regional Assembly. In a social media video, the president noted that the Assembly functions within the scope of competencies that have been transferred to the regions by the state. Let's now have an excerpt of that social media video.
Those powers and competencies and specificities that have been transferred to the region. For instance, in education, it is explicit that the region is responsible for some activities in secondary education, both grammar, commercial, and technical, as well as voluntary education. They are also awaiting specifications in adult literacy education, so that higher education and the basic education are not the concerns of the region. In health, the same thing. The region is responsible for infrastructure, equipment, supplies, and health, but limited to the third and fourth category facilities in the health chain. That is the regional hospitals, the third category, and district hospitals, the fourth category, as well as structures for dialogue in these hospitals and the health promotion facilities. In tourism, similar situation. We intend, of course, to finish the information, regional information tourism center, which will be responsible for communicating the circuits for tourism and guides. We're responsible for those structures in terms of coordination, and we will have a regional tourism board which will be created to boost tourism activities, tourism and leisure activities in the region. In the area of roads, we are limited to regional roads. We don't do all roads. If we do council roads, it is in respect of Section 266.
Professor Fru Angwafo III, the President of the Northwest Regional Assembly, explaining the do's and the don'ts of the Northwest Regional Assembly as far as competencies released to them by the state of Cameroon is concerned. Let's now take you out of the country, where the United Nations is warning of a worsening humanitarian crisis in Somalia after launching a sharply reduced aid plan, saying millions of people will be left without hope despite growing needs as drought, displacement, and tensions continue to strain the country. We have a compilation of the foreign news roundup with Benjamin Afanu.
The United Nations has launched a new humanitarian appeal for Somalia, warning that the country is facing a deepening crisis driven by drought, conflict, and chronic underfunding. At the briefing on Monday, UN spokesperson Stefan Dujarric announced a $852 million humanitarian needs and response plan for 2026 aimed at supporting 2.4 million people across Somalia. However, the plan represents a 40% reduction from last year, a cut Dujarric stressed is due to constrained global resources, not reduced humanitarian needs. The UN warns that the funding shortfall will leave significant gaps in essential services, with less than half of those in need expected to receive assistance. Without urgent support, Somalia's prolonged drought, livelihood collapse will further worsen food insecurity, water shortages, and health risks. This announcement comes amid heightened political tensions. Israel recently recognized Somaliland as an independent nation, a move that has sparked protests across Somalia. As humanitarian needs grow and political uncertainties deepen, the UN says sustained international support is critical to prevent crises from worsening. Israel has agreed to a limited reopening of the Rafah crossing between Egypt and the Gaza Strip, a move officials say is part of commitment tied to Donald Trump's proposed peace plan. The decision follows diplomatic discussions aimed at easing tensions and improving humanitarian access while maintaining security controls. The reopening will be restricted to scope, allowing limited humanitarians with tight monitoring. The movement of civilians and commercial goods remain largely constrained. Israeli officials say this limited reopening reflects a gesture of compliance to international diplomatic efforts, including elements outlined in Donald Trump's peace framework, which emphasize regional stability, security guarantees, and controlled humanitarian access. Egypt, which oversees its sites of the crossing, has welcomed the move, but stressed the need for sustained and predictable access. Humanitarian organizations warn that partial opening may not be sufficient to address the scale of need inside Gaza. The situation of Rafah remains under close observation as diplomatic efforts linked to the broader peace initiative continue.
Let's now talk sports on the 6:30 p.m. newscast. The management of PWD Social Football Club of Bamenda have reached an agreement with the Bamenda One Council to permit the Abakwa boys play their home matches at the Ntafi Proximity Stadium. This news, which has been welcomed across Bamenda, is of course seen as the dawn of a new era for the Abakwa boys, as their fans will watch them play their home matches in their backyard. And of course, PWD of Bamenda will host their first game at the Ntafi Proximity Stadium this weekend when they take on Stade Brenard of Melong. That game will be played on Saturday, the 31st of January 2026 at the Ntafi Proximity Stadium. We stay with that image that you have on your screen because that image is talking about the Cameroon Football Federation, who say they have suspended 4 referees, including a Hanga Claude, Njufuang Eric, Hayatu Davaza, and Abdullahi Dan Baba, and the referee inspector Nwangang Roger, who handled the Victoria United game that you have on your screen versus PWD over the weekend. That was on Sunday. The game of Fikafut says the decisions of the referees have been contested and the referees have been suspended. According to a communique, Fikafut also adds that investigations have been opened on the game between Dinamo of Douala against RS Fortuna, played at the Bepanda Stadium. For a reminder, Victoria United won PWD of Bamenda on Sunday 3-0 following 3 controversial penalties. And on their part, PWD had 2 goals denied by the referee plus 4 yellow cards. Ladies and gentlemen, it is on this note that we have come to the end of the 6:30 p.m. newscast. Fabiola Chama will be here at 7:30 p.m. for the news in the French language. From the entire team in Yaoundé, my name is Fabrice Kedzinga, and God bless Cameroon. Good night.